That's usually a very hard question also for me, but I'm a medical doctor by background.
Okay.
But someone who's not touched a patient for the last 18 years. So I've been doing other things within the health ecosystem.
Okay.
And within that space, I have discovered that I can have a life besides medicine. And so this is how some of my passions have grown into businesses. So I'm a mother to 4 children. I have a son who's 15, and I have triplet girls who are 13.
Wow.
So that journey of parenting, I started documenting and sharing. And also within my other passion is around travel. So that's how I have been documenting, and that's how Wanderlust was formed. I think I'll give you a bit more information later. So I also run 2 other businesses. One is on domestic workers, again, coming from my parenting experience where I needed to change nannies now and then.
Okay.
And then the third one is a business in supporting medics, mostly doctors, so pharmacists, dentists, medical doctors, around things that are beyond the stethoscope. So it's called Beyond the Stethoscope. So things on financial literacy, like what you're doing right now in terms of businesses, you'll be surprised many medics don't know because it's not taught in our schools. But many of them are venturing into the business sector without that kind of information. Things to do with career choices, things to do with social networking and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think that's maybe a very summarized version of my 45 years on this earth.
45 years. That's nice. Now, from being a medical doctor,
Yeah.
and of course, then now choosing entrepreneurial path. How did it start? What motivated you?
So being a medical doctor and jumping off from clinical work to other sectors of the health space, I was exposed to a lot of training because I've worked for private sector, like pharmaceutical companies, NGOs, and there's a lot of training that they expose you to, like media training, public speaking, networking. And it's in those spaces that I discovered there's a lot more that I have passion for apart from the health space.
Okay.
So for the most part, I've been doing many of these other things that I enjoy without getting paid. And one of the employers I worked for at some point got me an executive coach to move me to the next level of management. So the executive coach is the one who molded me into, checking or looking at what I'm good at and turning passion into profit. So that's what I've done in the last maybe 6 years or so, that I've turned a lot of my passion into profit.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I know that you mentioned travel, and of course you have been able to revolutionize this industry. And now people want to be entrepreneurs in that sector.
Sure.
How do they approach that area? And only that things are changing. And of course, a travel industry 10 years ago, right now, different game.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think I approached travel from the traveler's point of view rather than from the providers or trade partners' point of view.
Wonderful.
And so maybe my view may be a bit skewed to what is traditional. And that came because of my own experience when I'm traveling. So I discovered that there's a lot of information that is not documented. So if you want to go somewhere, if you want to experience a certain culture or you want to experience a certain culinary cuisine, then if you Google, you would not find much. But if you ask people on social media,
wow,
guys have this information. So I discovered then there's a way in which we can bring this information together, and especially coming from the traveler's point of view. Because, the other side is a lot of marketing and people put their best foot forward. But when I come to a place like this, I take photos and I say, this was my experience, the service was amazing and whatnot. People tend to believe because you are not there for a marketing mission, but you're there because you're treated like any other client.
You're telling them about an experience.
Exactly, yeah. Okay. And then in this era of digital space, I think we have a lot of resources to our disposal, and most of these resources are more or less free. And so technically, businesses have shifted towards a digital space. And it's possible for you to run a business in Kenya and the operations of the business are in another country in Africa. So I think those the world has gone global, and it's very important for people who want to get into some of these spaces to see that the trends have changed. Before, for example, in travel, if I wanted to go out of the country, I'd have to get an agent who'd do everything for me. But nowadays, with a lot of information on websites, a lot of information on Google, booking.com, whatever, you are able to package for yourself something. So if you are in the travel agency space and you're still stuck to waiting for people to come to you, then you'd be losing a lot of business. So you need to reinvent yourself. So you have to be, I guess, very much aware of the trends, the changing, the feedback. Like the conversations within the group have a lot of feedback. Like people are looking for different experiences. So if you're doing the same old, circuits of the coast or the safaris, guys, the other day people are asking where they can go for bouncing castles. Adults, people just want to release stress. So if you come up with a package that has the bouncing castles, you get your clients. Yeah, so I think it's about reinventing yourself, seizing opportunities, and also learning from feedback.
Now talking about Wanderlust, we have been able to create a vibrant community. People are proud to be part of Wanderlust.
Yeah.
What is the secret?
I think the passion. Yeah, I would say venture into something from a point of passion.
Passion is key.
Passion is key because you can learn the technique, you can learn the content. I mean, there's a lot of information on how to do something. But if you don't have that passion, then it doesn't drive you. And there'll be points where passion fades, wins, because it's up and down. Like there are times, I'm just like, I'm tired. But you also have to have the resilience to stick it out.
Okay.
And also the flexibility to adapt. So when we started Wanderlust, I didn't start it with an aim of making any profit from it. I just needed a group of people who could come together and share their experiences. It was during the COVID period. So because I've formed groups before on Facebook, I remember even my first post on the travel was on my own timeline. Then I realized, but how will other people share? So I said, let me start a group. And within a week, we were at 100,000. It just went going up and up. Right now, we're at just slightly over 400,000. And I realized, okay, this thing can actually become a movement. Yes, it's a big community. And then quickly learning from my experience setting up other businesses. I knew Kenyans being Kenyans, and true to my word, there were 10 other groups that were formed with the same name within 2 weeks of forming mine. So you also need to be quick to realize opportunities. You also need to be able to be providing a solution. So identify a problem in society, provide a solution, and you'll find that you'll be in business.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, now I noticed one of the unique things in what you do is that you have embraced the art of storytelling.
Exactly.
It's something that catches, it captivates. How can entrepreneurs embrace that, regardless of what they're doing?
Yeah. So I'm naturally a storyteller. I'm naturally a writer. Actually, writing is what gets me many of these gigs.
Wow.
And so not everyone can be a writer, but I think what people are looking for is connection between two human beings. So we have all these digital tools, especially for marketing your product. It's very easy for you to put a flyer and then, expect the flyer to bring in business. Mm-hmm. But when you're not connecting with your clients, when you don't have the human face behind the digital tools, you'll find that, a lot of your clients this is just another marketing gig. So even within the group, I usually tell people you can do it's called under the belt marketing, where you've taken people for a tour, and then you ask those people to come and share their feedback, and then they tag your page. So you see, for them, someone relates to that story. If it's a mother who's traveled with a child, and they're like, I can actually go by SGR, I can go at 10,000. And sometimes you can help people even write those stories because not everyone is a writer. And you don't have to write a long, lengthy one like some of us do. So it's just the connection to your clients that's really, really important. And then use of images, use of real life situations. So if you come to somewhere like this and you're just doing maybe the ambience or the decor, but if you have an event and you're showing people, guys actually came here, of course with consent, yeah, then people relate to a picture that has a human being more than, just a fixed, maybe just a fixed picture of chairs and whatnot, or a setup, yeah. So I think it's just about connecting to people, and that's very important. We are in the age of competition. The share of voice is very, very wide. So people have 3 seconds on average to see whether they'll engage on your post on social media. So make sure that it is engaging enough, it is catchy enough, it is something that will make me click on whatever you're selling.
Okay.
And then sometimes also I say networking and building each other. So you can't operate in a silo. For example, I do have situations where I say, okay, today there's a free marketing post for my trade partners. So in as much as I would have turned all that into revenue, I'm also offering, people who are starting up in the business an opportunity to market. Maybe they don't have the finances or the resources to pay me for the other days, but you have that space where you're saying, look, here's an offer, and we build this thing together because we all need each other. So I think that networking is very important. And then just, again, be in those spaces, be somewhere where people, you network or you get noticed, you have to be there. There's a lot of competition. And I think it's not about doing something creatively. It's just about how do you package yourself to be different from the competition.
True. And of course, talking of competition, that is the one characteristic of the market now.
Yeah.
Everyone is competing out there for this consumer.
Well,
now, how do they now create a relationship? Because now when you talk of whether you're offering a product or service, you want, after you have sold, your product, you want that customer to come back.
wow.
Then for them to come back, there must be a good relationship.
Exactly.
How do entrepreneurs do that so that they can be able to survive with this competition? So that even in between purchasing the one, of course, the two, in between, how do they maintain that relationship? Yes.
I think I'll peg it from my other business that's more in the service industry.
Yes.
And, they usually say the customer is always right. And sometimes, many times the customer is not right. But you have to listen.
You be far.
Yes.
Sometimes the customer is not right.
Many times. But you're there for the customer. I think it's about communication, understanding, okay, I offered you this service. You came to me because there's a reason you came to me. So I just want to understand, one, and this you can do with poll or surveys, or you can do with direct customer feedback.
Sure.
Even just understanding, how did you come to know about me? That's a very simple question that people don't ask. So you'd be surprised that, you've paid for a billboard perhaps, and someone didn't even notice from there. They had it from word of mouth, from clients in a pub. Yeah, someone spoke about it. Or maybe they saw it in their child told them, oh, I saw something from my neighbor. You get. So with that, you get to learn that maybe there are channels of marketing that you need to optimize on. But that can only happen if you ask someone, how did you find out about us? And then also, once they've experienced your service, you ask them, and how was the experience? Was it timely? Was it cost effective? Was it worth your while? Because there are some experiences where you think you have, in your head, and me, I sometimes live a lot in my head, I see the vision, the big picture, but the execution, really, I struggle with. So I know that there's something great in, let's say, going to museums, and I find museums fascinating as a person. But because I've not gone into the details of, okay, how do I get people to the museum? So me, my final thing is the experience at the museum. Maybe I've not thought about how did people get to that. And you just hired a vehicle. It was maybe not even comfortable. Maybe it didn't even come on time. Or there wasn't any music within the vehicle. So you'd find that the trip to the museum may undo your museum experience based on what people are expecting.
Yes.
So again, that feedback is very important. And then in terms of the last question maybe to ask is, would you refer us? What on a scale of, let's say, 0 to 10, how where would you place us in terms of referral? Like, would you come back and would you tell someone else? So I think this simple. Don't do it every day because it's tedious.
Okay.
But once in a while, sample randomly your clients, and you'd be surprised about the feedback.
Okay.
I think also offers are important. So if you're able to get a discount for, let's say, a repeat customer, so the next time you come for a hike on Gong Hills, you're going to get a 10% discount. That motivates people. Or even run a competition and saying, look, because maybe you're looking for content for your page, you tell people, okay, if you go to Gong Hills, there's a competition in someone who's done all the 7 hills, or someone who's taken a picture against the windmills. So you put something that's attractive, something that is competitive, and then a small token of appreciation. It could be a discount, it could be a free trip, it could be a t-shirt. So just being creative around that, so that I think the emphasis is get feedback, reinvent yourself according to the feedback.
Okay.
Yeah.
Amakove Wala.
Yeah.
The conversation has just started.
Yeah.
But again, we are going to take a short break. We are coming to you from the arbor of James Lishoro Road. Now, Anza season finale will continue after this short break. Don't go too far.